Hey everybody, it's Corey from Thought Soldiers. I wanted to go into more detail about the topic I brought up yesterday of being the eye in the storm or being the eye of the storm. And some things popped up today that were I wanted to kind of clarify. No one had mentioned this, but it was something that I had observed, and that's that I didn't want the idea of being the eye of the storm to come across as being avoidant. Because what I started to notice was this chaos that was ensuing for me in my life that I spoke about was a reflection of a purge that's been going on. So with the energies that have been coming as of recently, ushering in this new timeline, this new wave, there's a lot of purge, especially with the recent eclipse. With the recent eclipse, I feel like that's shedding a lot of light on our shadow self. And so there's a lot of darkness coming to the surface. And so for me, this reflection that I was seeing of chaos was coming from really deep, unresolved issues that need to come to the surface and need to be brought to the light. And I find that when I shed light on this shadow self of me, my reflection adjusts accordingly, and then I can see it in my day-to-day existence. And that's kind of what started to happen. I started to bring some stuff up to the light, to the surface, discuss it, really deep stuff. And things started to adjust accordingly. But the one thing I wanted to mention about this concept of being the eye is to be non-reactive. That's the key to this, because what will happen when the law that we are governed by in this universe is the law of attraction. Like attracts like. My vibration, wherever it is, will attract that exact vibration. So when this chaos is ensuing, at least for me, and what I choose to do is I know that there is some shadow work that I need to do. I need to bring this stuff up, bring it to light, process it, transmute it, alchemize it, get rid of it. The thing is, though, is that some of this stuff that pops up, we don't know what's popping up until it really does come to the surface. So, this chaos was ensuing, and I knew stuff was going to come to the light. And as soon as I looked at it and observed it, a lot more came to the surface. And there are, I was bringing up this concept of, holding our light and holding our frequency, not being in a non-reactive state. Because if I react to this chaos and I don't heal, as far as the way this law of attraction thing works, is I will resonate with whatever energy of this reaction is to my reflection. And when I do that, I attract that into my life. So as we know, the law of attraction was established. So like, for instance, if I wanted love, if I wanted to experience real love, the universe would, instead of just ushering in the real love that I want, it would usher in a dualistic nature of it, of seeing love that I don't really want, to change my focus to usher in that love that I really do want, if that makes sense at all. So being in a non-reactive state will help us to, instead of reacting with a negative emotion, dropping our vibration and thus attracting this into our life, what we can do is look at it, view it, don't judge it either. I wrote down 3 things, which is non-avoidant, non-reactive, and non-judgmental. Be careful not to judge what's going on, because the minute that, so for me, this chaos was ensuing, and I started to go, what's going on with me? What is my internal reflection? Am I not whole? What's really messed up within me? And as soon as I started to make that judgment, I realized that I was backtracking in all this progress I made, because the idea isn't perfection. The idea is to bring these things to the surface, to bring light to them, to for me at least, to alchemize them, to get rid of them, to usher in new energies and new perspectives, new loves, things like that. And when I started to judge my internal condition because of this reflection I was seeing, of this chaos that was ensuing, I was thus judging my progress. And judging that I wasn't, I'm not on the right path, I'm not whole enough. When, and the problem with this law of attraction, things working like this, is that it will make me realize that I'm not whole, and it will, instead of being proud of the progress I've made, which holds me in a state of gratitude, which will bring about serenity, I start to look at that the fact, instead of looking at like, yes, I need more progress to make, and I don't judge it, when I judge it and have a negative emotion about where I'm at, knocks me down, I attract it in, and then boom, things just get worse. So a good example too of the way that this will work is that these unfavorable conditions and these chaotic circumstances sometimes will arrive because there's a blessing in disguise hidden in it. So I have to look at, in this example I was going to bring up, is my recovery journey. Last year on December 22nd, I entered a homeless shelter here in San Diego. And, I was off and on homeless for a little while before that. But this was the start of my journey. And even though it was a very unfavorable circumstance, as far as viewing it from in that moment in a grounded perspective, this is fucked up. I'm a good person. Why isn't this bringing about a blessing? It was. And it's because I wasn't at the outcome yet. And that's the whole part about not judging our experience, is that these negative things will come into our life to either bring about a blessing, or there's a blessing in the mess and the chaos that we don't see because we're not there yet. So as far as, this avoidance as well, being the eye in the storm, being in a reactive state, don't avoid it, because there may be something truly beautiful and golden within this mess of mud that we don't see because we're not aware of it at the time. But if we are to go through this mess and then give it a little bit of time and look back at it, you will truly see the blessing that is arriving in all of this chaos. So I wanted to make sure that when I'm saying be the eye of the storm, it's not to be avoidant. If and everyone's spiritual journey is different. For mine, avoidance did not help me. The way that I started to raise in vibration wasn't by shifting my attitude immediately. It was by being okay in the shadow, and it was by looking at that shadow, being able to learn from it, appreciate it for what it is, alchemize it, and let it go. The thing is, though, is that especially with certain healings, there are parts of myself that I've healed maybe 80 or 90%. And the more that these ascension energies are coming in and I'm purging to usher in this new timeline I'm trying to harmonize with, the more that I'm ready to bring this stuff in, the more healing that's occurred, these old cycles will pop up, because once again, I learned 80% from it and I healed 80% of it. So there's still 20% that needs to be healed. So there's more of a lesson that needs to be learned. And if I avoid that lesson, it's, as far as me with my cycles of these lessons that have popped up, they get greater and greater and greater until I finally understand it and it's blown up in my face. But the problem is that if there is suffering or any really traumatic pain that happens as a direct result of these lessons, if I vibrated that energy, I attract that energy in. And that's what's really messed up about this whole stuff that can happen as far as with the law of attraction and the faults that lay in it. But let this chaos ensue. I was trying to find a way to best reword this video. Instead of being the eye of the storm, why don't we embrace the storm in a non-reactive and a non-judgmental state? Let the storm happen. Look at your internal self and go, what needs to be fixed here? And if nothing has to be fixed, realize that a blessing may be on its way in this chaos. Because when we start to mess with the law of attraction and we're trying to usher in new timelines, new careers, new family, new friends, new love, whatever we're trying to create as and bring into our life, when the universe adjusts, it doesn't say that the universe is going to adjust 100% smoothly in your favor. There's going to be tower moments, and there's going to be this stuff that ensues that doesn't make sense, but that's where we have to hold on to the hope and the faith that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And so I really wanted to share this, because, I felt like I'm being tested lately. And I really do feel like some of these stuff that are popping up are tests, whether or not I'm going to engage on my path and keep moving forward, or if I'm going to fall back on my laurels, my old belief systems, my old patterns, if I'm going to be taking steps backward. Because when we start to align with our divine purpose in our journey, I feel like the universe is kind of going, okay, you've been asking for this journey. You really want it. How bad do you want it? And that's why these cycles were popping up. And there was also some more learning and some more healing to go through. And, just realize too that when this chaos is ensuing, it may not always be a reflection of where you're at. It could be this manifestation too that's coming on its way, and you're just unaware of that blessing within it. And the thing that happened today that really freaking broke my heart was I found out that a friend passed away a few days ago. And I got really mad, and I got really sad. It was nice to be able to purge some of this stuff and let this stuff out and show this vulnerability to people, but it made me really upset and really mad. So the thing is that even though I'm saying don't react to the chaos, if you have some emotional action that happens as a direct result of this chaos ensuing, such as finding out about the good friend that passed away, feel it and process it, because that's part of this whole purging process and the healing that we need in order to usher in these things. So, it's very important, and I can't stress this enough, is that when these things are happening, even though I'm saying be non-reactive, it's okay to feel. Give yourself the okay to feel and to be human, and don't judge it. Like for me all day, when I found out, I was crying all day. I was really mad. I was venting. And there was one point where I was venting, and my this ringing shot off in my ear, this loud stop letting this stuff out. And it gave me that reassurance that there's ample time to grieve, and there's ample time to feel the way we feel without judgment, but that there's also a time to keep our focus and to stay calm, so we don't resonate at that frequency long enough to usher in more of this stuff, this crap that we don't want. But for me, I feel like these shadows are really coming to the surface right now for a beautiful reason, because it's always darkest before the dawn. There's a lot of really just it's getting darker and darker. And the good thing about this stuff, and with at least where I'm at in my journey, and I like the word mastery. It's been popping up a lot lately, and I like this, is because we can become a master of not giving into this and not letting it, giving it power, but observing it from the angle that we observe it from. Understand that it's a part of this existence, that this chaos will unfold for a reason. There's a reason all this chaos is unfolding. It's usually a catalyst for something very good. And so keep that in mind. If this stuff keeps ensuing, and you feel like you've done a lot of work, but it's still ensuing, I ask that you go deeper and go, is there something more? Is there something more deeper that I'm not getting at? And that's where this really helps out, at least me. The pen and the paper, really helps. Talking with other people. The one thing that's a huge part of my journey, and not everyone's going to agree with this, is I have a really good therapist. And she's someone that has these, I will explain things going on, and she has these trigger questions that will pop stuff up, and I will get to process and see it in a new light. And it's really helped me, because sometimes this chaos continues to ensue, not only because we're holding that vibrational match and we're not healing, but we're not learning a very important and vital lesson from this. And so the chaos continues to ensue for years and years and years, and then at some point we start doubting God, and we think, oh, you know what, have no faith, no spirituality, and all that progress is dropped out the window, and we lose it all. So just be mindful that this stuff is ensuing. Look at your reflection. And once you start to heal those things, even if it's little by little, you will notice it change in your environment around you. So go inside, look at it, and then watch the universe adjust accordingly in your favor, because it will. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about, guys. Much love and respect sent to everybody. If you haven't, click subscribe. If you want to reach out, give me a email. It's CoreyMacLight33@gmail.com. Anyways, love and light sent to all of you, and be the I, but don't avoid it, and don't judge it, and don't react. So that's all I got, guys. See you on the other side. Namaste.